Welcome to Empty Suitcase with Armchair Flamingos, a podcast featuring honest conversations around productivity, creativity, and agility for those working in and navigating the digital space. So, that's basically everyone these days. Welcome back to part 2 of our episode with the co founders of Good Intentions, a London based collaborative network for design solutions. In the last part of this episode, we spoke about purpose driven organizations and their renewed importance in a post pandemic world. We also went into the vibrant, exciting ecosystem that the digital space has become today, and spoke to Jenna and Paulina about what made them gravitate towards creating a collaborative network and how the concept really works. So let's pick up from where we left off. How does a collaborative network work? A collaborative environment is non hierarchical. The team may have a leader, but they act more like a guardian of the project who makes sure that the team is on track. I might be the founder of DV Media Co., but it's really the members of the collective who create and push the culture of collaboration. Jenna, Paulina, welcome back, ladies. Let's talk a little bit more about good intentions. As co founders, how clearly defined are your roles in the collaborative network?
So our roles are pretty defined because, I'm the project manager and Paulina's the art director, but we each have our own skill sets, right? So we have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. However, our role within the collaborative network is to enhance each other's skills and learning potential as well. So we act as the connecting threads, but within a much larger tapestry. Not one piece is more important than the other. In the process of building this collaborative network, we're building connections and we're building those connections with people, and that in itself is growth. And when you're achieving individual growth and you're achieving collaborative growth, that is simply absolutely amazing because knowledge is power, right? But combined knowledge is the way forward. And we all win at the end and we're all helping each other out. So it's such this organic and humbling, harmonious experience, if you will, you know?
Yes, preach, Jana. I totally agree with the last thing that you just said. Well, with everything, but specifically how you said knowledge is power, but combined knowledge is the way forward. I mean, I think that is just the most accurate statement when it talks about how a collaborative network works. So we obviously all have our designation, as Jenna mentioned. We have clearly defined roles amongst ourselves. But the key highlight here is that there is no boss in this story. It's not about rank. It's not about authority. I mean, we don't want our business to thrive through ego and competition. That's the fundamental belief. We think and we truly believe that our creative output and our collective community and the spirit within the collective community will speak for itself. And that's what's going to take us where we want to go, not a takedown of another similar competitive business. It's the idea that we're going to let the work speak for itself.
Um, Absolutely, we're not defined by our designation, right? Ladies, in your opinion, what is the key to building lasting client relationships?
For us, honestly, me and Paulina, we treat our clients like friends. The minute we meet them, it's always very lighthearted and, it's quite nice actually the way we have our relationships. So having that understanding and creating that harmonious relationship with the client first, like on a more personal level, is my style of how I run my client relationships within Good Intentions. I like to take into account the person and then get to know them on a business level. I think understanding your client, their challenges, their opportunities, and their issues is really a key to understanding their wants and needs. I also feel that people in the corporate environment, stop treating others like humans. And for me, it doesn't work, because every client is different and our approach has to be different. We have to have that basic understanding, basic courtesy. And, we're not just working with ourselves, are we? Everybody is different and everybody has different needs and wants. And, to be fair, how you win most business is by people just liking you. It's really simply that. Even if they have the expertise and they just don't have those basics, you just don't really want to work with them. So, and I love to fix situations, and I'm a doer, which clients appreciate. And I'm like that in my own life as well. So,
Yeah, I completely agree with Jenna. I think being able to understand your client from a human level and bringing humanity back into the workplace. And there is no standard formula for how to deal with clients. I mean, maybe there's manuals written on them, but we definitely don't use them. We just use our intuition and our empathy to see eye to eye with people. I think also educating the client on the process and guiding them through what can be a very like foreign and intimidating process is the key to building trust. If the client feels like you're invested in their journey, in their creative journey, and something that for somebody, your idea is your baby. And if you feel like somebody is really helping you bring that vision to light with patience and kindness, then you're going to remember this person. And if your business grows, you're going to want to work with that person again. And many people assume that clients know what branding and design is because we throw around these terms so haphazardly, but many people don't unless they work directly with creative agencies on a regular basis. So we also have to step into the teacher role. And I think Jenna and I embrace it quite fully.
If you ask me, authenticity is the key to building harmonious client relationships. Harmony doesn't mean that you don't have differences. It's how you handle these differences. Every client has a different way of absorbing the information that you give them. Ultimately, most of our clients come to us and they tell us they want to sell a product, and we know that. But it's how we take them through that process. And it is a vulnerable position that they are putting themselves in as well, because most of the time they don't know how to get to that the end point, but they know they have to get to that end point, and that's where we come in. And yeah, you're right, it's important to build trust, and it's important to make them feel comfortable, and it's super important to connect with them. And we know that we connect with every individual in a unique manner. No two connections are the same. So how do we connect? In my opinion, I think it's as simple as just listening. Have you ever wondered why we have 2 ears and one tongue for a reason? It's because we're supposed to listen twice as much as we talk. And if you apply this to the digital realm, we have to start listening to the metadata, like all the information that
100%, Donna. I completely agree. It's so important
to listen, right? And you mean, as an account manager, I'm sure you notice that if a client is having a tough day, all you have to do is just listen to what they're saying, and you could solve their problem without like bringing in all the big guns and the forces and all those things. It's just as simple as listening. End of the day, we work with brands to communicate their vision to their audience. We are all about understanding the ethos of the brand and making meaningful connections at meaningful moments. Paulina, you and I have spoken about creativity and intuitive creativity
at length.
At length.
At length.
Yeah, can you take our listeners through what it really means to you?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, this is a topic I really like to touch on because I think it's really important for A, your growth as a human, and B, your growth within the creative field. For me, intuitive creativity is like a spiritual opening. So what does that mean? Intuitive creativity is about being in alignment with yourself and manifesting creative work from a place of true authenticity. So if you think about creativity, creativity is like an ever changing state of mind, right? And it's induced by all sorts of things around us that imprint on us, things that happened in that day, that morning, that afternoon, something you read, a color that you saw, in a sunset. All of those things attach to us. And sometimes that state of mind can be compromised by self-doubt. And when I mean sometimes, I mean more often than not, especially in design. Design is ever changing. It's always changing. It's hard to feel like you can keep up. It's hard to feel like you're good enough because there's always a newer, bigger, greater, better, younger person coming out with something incredible and beautiful. But you have to learn how to dull that down, how to quiet the noise, because that gets in the way of your state of flow. And flow is where you want to be to create not the best work that someone else has done or comparing your work to what somebody else might have done, but your flow is creating your best work. And that's what I want to focus on. And that's what I aim to focus on all the time, right? So being able to practice being present, centered, grounded in your daily work and as a human is definitely the best way to create your best work, really.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Same.
Being in this field, I think doubt is your best friend, right?
No,
Agreed.
Donna, it's your friend. I would definitely not call it a best friend, but I would call it your frenemy.
I think that's a good word for it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
frenemy. I think for me personally, intuition is all about looking at any given moment from a holistic point of view. And I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do that. But then, you have to keep practicing, like how you have your soul tools. I have to constantly remind myself, okay, this moment is impacted in multiple ways. And I need, if something goes wrong, I need to be able to identify that as opposed to getting busy in self-doubt.
Yep, that's for sure.
So we're at the point in the conversation where we've touched on why the system works and how the system works. I want to move towards what this really is when it comes to what is a collaborative network for good intentions, and what's a collaborative network for DV Media Co. And when it comes to DV Media Co., we help sustainable brands and social enterprises create and scale up their online presence. And we do this by conducting market research. We do this by finding the most optimal mix in their digital marketing plan. And a big part of what we do is we are focused on brands looking for a digital transformation. And one thing that I have learned over the past couple of years is that transformation comes with a lot of education and a lot of success stories, because it's not enough that you teach your client or you teach your team that this is how it's supposed to go. They're constantly looking for instances. They're constantly looking for validation as well. So in a situation like this, I think it's really important for us to, address what what it means to transform your business from an offline to an online space. When it comes to good intentions, could you tell us about what your clientele or prospective clientele looks like?
Well, at the moment, we're working with a lot of startups to already established brands. We work with a lot of individuals who have started their own businesses as well, just like we did. And so we have a really versatile client base at the moment, which is really nice because you never get bored, which is great. And it's like the clients are so different, so it's quite nice. And in terms of prospective clients, we're hoping to work with more sustainable and holistic brands that really have some good CSR activations and good causes for us to kind of give back to the community and and increase our outreach for people to join the Good Intentions Creative Hub. And of course, we're doing that with good intentions, so it should go well, hopefully.
I think the basis of our prospective clientele would be aligning with us wanting to make more of a social impact. So we would do this by extending our services to like individuals and startups. And I think fundamentally it's because we believe that we invest our time in the idea. So we nurture concepts like no matter how big or small that is. That's why, as Jenna had mentioned, it might seem like we're working with a little bit of everybody, but that's the truth. That's what we do. We work with big companies. We work with, a person that's got, a really good concept that they just want to follow their hearts on. And we work with mid-sized companies as well. I think that's kind of the way forward. We want to be able to extend our services to everybody. And in terms of where the prospective clientele is going and where they might be coming from, we've definitely seen internally like a reemergence of something that we call a brand facelift. So it's where we take existing brands that might not have much of a digital presence or even a modern look and feel, and we kind of like bring them into the 21st century. So we kind of like bring them into 2020 by rejuvenating their aesthetics, giving them a new website, cleaning up their logos, adding new brand elements, and updating their imagery. It could even be that simple, or a new font. I know, who would have thought? And it creates like this small overhaul, and it allows the company to enter the market with like a new competitive edge. So I see a lot of that happening, like perhaps like older companies that didn't used to think that a logo was that important. It was more about, the business side of it. But now I think they're starting to see that if you're going to be online, you better be noticed. And the way to be noticed is to be modernized. So truth be told, I'm really enjoying working with these clients, and I foresee a lot of them in the future. So I don't know. I love a makeover. I'm for it.
No, no, I completely agree with you. Digital media is an evolving organism, and it's constantly changing, which means it's constantly challenging a brand to keep up. So from that point of view, I feel like adaptability and agility is really the key to navigating the digital space. Here at DV Media Co, we make sure that we're updated on the most cutting edge ways to build businesses online and working together in an ever changing environment. We have to look at it from an evolutionary lens, and it's not just the client who's evolving. Even as an agency, be it design or be it digital media, like we have to keep ourselves up to date as well. Paulina, Jenna, tell me a little bit about some of the challenges, some of your biggest challenges and learnings, after starting Good Intentions.
Well, I think it's safe to say that starting your own business is the steepest learning curve of all time.
Truly.
You learn on it. Yeah, truly. I mean, you learn on a daily.
100%.
I mean, we're learning on a daily basis. But I think that's the beauty of it, truly. The problem starts with learning how to switch off and recharge your batteries. And when it's your own business, you feel that when you stop working, the money stops flowing. So if you don't put in that extra 2 hours at the end of the day, your business will suffer. Your bottom line will suffer. But the problem is that you start creating this like and perpetuating this like negative energy around money, where you're pushing yourself harder than is necessary and pushing yourself out of your creative flow, where yes, maybe you're sitting that extra 2-3 hours at the end of the day, but are you really producing? That's a question you really have to ask yourself. So when you're working from home, it's most of us are anyways, but when you're doing that, it's really, really important to create a ritual that signifies it's the end of the day. For me, it's laptop down. I don't bring my laptop into my bedroom. I solely work in my workspace, and that allows me to create a bit of a divider between workday, end of workday. And it's also really, really, really difficult to pull yourself away mentally. That's the biggest problem, actually. So if you don't do that, you risk burning out and you kill your creative flow entirely. And your creative flow depends on replenished energy. I think probably one of the best stories that I could relate this back to is when I used to work in advertising in Dubai. I remember it was my first week. I was really trying to make a big splash. And I had a big campaign that I had to come up with, the big concept, the big idea. And for a whole week, I was working overtime, working late. I couldn't come up with it. No one liked where we were at. And I was going to work late. And my mentor at the time, he turned to me and he says, no, listen, you go home, you go put on a dress, put on a nice dress, put on some lipstick, go out with your friends, have a drink, have a bite, enjoy your weekend, and you'll see it will come. It will come. When you least expect it, it will come, because you're going to get inspired. And he was right. I came in that literally the morning I was coming to work, I was coming out of the shower, and there it was. It just came to me. And that ended up being the idea that we use. So when you're in a state of rest, that's when everything starts coming, because your spirit is allowing all of it to come in. So I find that is a really, as much as we think that we need to work, finding that time to take a breather is fundamental in this line of work.
No, I agree. I mean, to be honest with you, it's the whole thing of like, when you have negative energy, that's going to reduce the quality of your work, isn't it? Right? It's like when you're doing food, food that's been done with love, and food that's just food. I mean, can we even call it food, really?
Yeah, like
You
filling
just,
space, filling space.
it's like having mama's dish. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it really does affect. And it's as simple as that. That's why I compared it to food. So for us, like the biggest challenge of running a business is exactly that, running a business. There's a lot of different pieces and puzzles and legal and this and accounting and, what you're doing and the work itself and the clients. So, switching off, as Polina said, is not easy when you're running a business, but it's much needed, and you have to create that environment. And it's important to stick to those values and morals that you came into opening up a company. It's one thing just to state it, right? It's another thing to actually implement it daily, because sometimes you forget in this advertising world. It's very quick. Stress is running high all the time with clients and you and designer and this and that. And when you take a step back, like she did, what she was just saying, is that it just came. And that's just simply how it works best. So, other than that, you're constantly learning how a business actually runs, right? In the midst of it all. So it constantly challenges you to think and research and be quick on your feet and be resourceful, to know the right people to grab for the job, so as a co-founder and project manager, you learn that making mistakes is how you grow and how you become better with time. Experience is everything, especially when it comes into project management. Everybody can always do better. And that's what this journey is all about. Growing, learning, right? Engaging other people and keeping an open mind on other people's perspectives and not having, that negative state of having, negative comments about your colleagues or about another designer's work, or if a designer has another aesthetic than the other designer, it doesn't make, they're the same. It's just each one has their own kind of unique, that's why it's called art, right? At the base of it all, everybody does it differently. So understanding others as well as yourself in business is so imperative, because not only on a business level, but on a personal level, like I mentioned earlier, because that's what people connect with. And when you touch that soft spot of what someone connects with, you've got them. So, we all have challenges along the way, but every time you take a step back and analyze the situation, you make sure that both of you are aligned and we are all aligned. And then you have less conflict, right? And less confrontation and a lot of other stuff, So understanding what works for you and what works for your business. And that's really important to me and Paulina, to see the business grow and be aligned every step of the way.
And with each other.
100%. 100%.
It's very, I think it's very, very easy to get like completely trapped in the whirlwind of deadlines and making money and, being really strict and regimented and no days off because we're starting a business. And I can be very guilty of that. But having somebody that can step in and say, listen, rest is very important. Mental well-being is very important. And I think having Jana balances me out, and hopefully I can do that for her in reverse in a different way. So I really think that being able to have that somebody or teaching yourself to be that somebody is fundamental in the creative business for sure. Once you can overcome that, I mean, honestly, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Even for me, setting up DV, the biggest challenge is, attracting the right kind of people, ensuring that it's, I want to create an environment where people feel safe psychologically. I mean, it's not an environment where you're constantly being just nice and nice to each other and good to each other. It's an environment where you can talk about your ideas and you can express yourself without actually that fear of being judged or that instinct of like, oh, my idea is not good enough or my perspective is not good enough. So yeah, when we're also used to this, environment where there's hierarchy and division of labor, and when we're trying to create an environment such as where we embrace rest and where we embrace kindness and where we embrace our creative juices to flow whenever they flow, it goes down to like the kind of people we're able to attract, right? And I think personally, I don't know when to switch off.
I know.
It's tough.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
You just have to remember it's work, and work doesn't come above personal, family, your kids, your partner. You just go back to that human level that it is work, and I need to step outside the box, step into the door, into the family mode,
Yeah, you're defined by who you are and not by what you do, right? And if you know who you are, and you can definitely apply that to every element of your life, including work, right? And and one of my biggest learnings has been, like how both of you have each other in this partnership to, bounce off ideas and help each other out. I think for me, the collaborative network is what helps me grow, because I know I have a lot of weaknesses and I know I have a lot of things that I can't do. And I don't think there's just one person who's going to help me get there. I think I need a whole network to get there.
Don't worry, Donna, you've got us.
You've got us. We're here.
I'll just call you and say, Donna, stop working.
Yeah, you can do that. So looking into the future, guys, let's talk about what the next 6 months look like. I mean, we are living through a pandemic, and we are living through a period where we are bringing a lot of the skills from our past, but may not necessarily applying it in the same way. So for DV Media, our biggest challenge right now is that we are a marketing company and we're trying to market ourselves in an environment that is very different from how it used to be. I know it should be easy, right? Like, I'm a marketer, it should be easy for me to market a company, but then yeah, it's a lot of pressure because there's a lot of things that you have to do. And yeah, in my opinion, this marketing campaign will determine how many clients I will attract and the kind of people I'm going to attract to the network as well. So yeah, for me, I wake up every day and I work towards creating a culture that people can people would like to be a part of, and people would like to work with. Good intentions. What are the next 6 months looking for you guys?
Well, I think it's safe to say that we would like to, network more in London, with other creative communities, grow our online presence, kind of get in touch with some, female leaders and different, people doing kind of the same thing we're doing to just grow that community. So I think that's going to be our main focus,
We definitely want to be able to join more women-led conferences and talks. We want to be able to educate ourselves in entrepreneurship, not only as new entrepreneurs, but as women. So if we can continue to learn more within this space, I think it would benefit our business, and it would benefit us personally as well. We also definitely, Jenna and I have also spoken about the idea of Good Intentions, especially our online platform, becoming a creative hub / safe haven for other women in business and creatives alike. A platform for them to be able to share and muse and get inspired. I can't go into too much detail, but we've definitely got some really awesome things in store for the future. And we can't wait to unveil it in due time.
Super excited to see what you ladies have in store for us, and we're definitely going to be following you. Creative work, creative community. Don't you think creativity really is at the heart of everything we're trying to do as a collective to transform digital media?
Most
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's kind of the factor that connects us. Well, first of all, our two businesses, and it's transforming where the world is going. We have fast access to creativity and how it affects digital media. So it's definitely moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. This was
Thank you,
you're so
Donna.
welcome.
It's been so
honor.
much fun. We've had the
Thank
best
you.
time.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, I think the values that your entity is embodying are inspiring and hopefully contagious. Before I let you go, can you share with our listeners where they can find you or how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get in touch with us. You can find us on Find, Click, and Like. You can follow us on. I sound like a YouTuber right now. You can find us on Instagram at good.intentions_studio. So you can follow us there. Or you can always drop us an email. We're more than happy to hear from new people at all times at hello@goodintentions-studio.com.
Amazing. Thank you.
Come on by.
Say hello. We're friendly.
There is an urgent need for a more empathetic, inclusive, and sustainable way of life. And building this new normal is something we are committed to. We're all buckled up and in it for the long haul. That brings us to the end of our second episode of Empty Suitcase. Tune in next month for our conversation with Mayank Garg. And we're going to be talking about creating content in a post-COVID world. Catch you next month. Stay safe, stay sane.